Okay, everyone, welcome back to season 2, episode 2 of The Book Bow. I am one of your co-hosts, Jocelyn, and my other co-host.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alejandra, and welcome to it's actually episode 3 because
Oh,
remember, we're filming. This is a weird one. We normally film our episodes in order, but because we want to celebrate, we want to make sure we put out Women's History Month books. We are recording that one later, but putting it out first. But we're just so excited about this episode that we are recording it first. But yes, it's so weird. This is episode 3, technically our second recording
yes.
though. So you're right.
Yes, if you are new to The Book Bow, we record our episodes kind of either like a couple weeks in advance or on a certain schedule.
Mhm.
One, because we're teachers and our life can be a little chaotic. So we like having a schedule of like, okay, this is like a time for us to like dedicate to this. And so if you're new to that and you're wondering like, how is it that they're recording things out of order? It's because we have a schedule. But
Yeah,
yes, welcome back. Episode 3, season 2. How are you, Alejandra?
I'm good. So my district did something different this year where we got this week off, which I think normally it's called ski week in other places, but we're in California. We don't ski. They called it President's Week. Um, I was gonna say a comment, but I'm like, let me try to keep my political opinions to myself. So we have this week off, which I'm really, really excited. I guess now I'm gonna get a little political. I don't know. I got really lucky and I got my COVID vaccine yesterday. In our county, teachers are now qualified to get their COVID vaccine. So I got it yesterday. I'm feeling pretty good. My arm is a little like sore, but that happens to me when I get a flu shot as well. But I am really thankful that I kind of had this week off just because I wasn't sure how I was going to react.
Yeah.
But it was such like a smooth and easy process. Like I'm telling everybody, I was like, I can't believe how well, like, because you've just heard on the news, like it's kind of been difficult in some places and like they've been running out in other places. But I got mine here in the Bay Area. I don't know if people are listening to us in other places, but it was super smooth. Like there's just people guiding us every few feet because we were in our car. Um, I'll also give a shout out that the men working there were very attractive, so it made it a little less painless. But yes, I am. I have the first dose of the vaccine, and I'm very excited and a little relieved, to be honest. But other than that, I mean, I wanted to work on CalTPA, which I haven't really done as much as I would have liked. But it has been really nice to sleep in. And yeah, how have you been?
I'm good. One, I'm jealous that you have ski week. I had that last year when I was student teaching, and I didn't realize it was something that teachers really needed until I
Mhm.
experienced it. And then like this year is coming around, and some of my friends, they're teachers, and they're like, "Oh, like do you have ski week off?" And I'm like, "No, unfortunately." I am teaching away, which is okay because my I feel like it's a good thing to just, keep trugging along.
Yeah,
I
yeah, no.
need to see breaks, but we're getting kind of like a break in a couple weeks because we do like benchmark testing to make
Okay.
sure to kind of track the progress towards our students on state testing. And during that week, it's just us administering the test. So it's kind of like a break for us because we're not actually like teaching anything. We're
Mm,
just proctoring the test. And when the students are done, we tell them to just go home or to turn off their laptops and enjoy their day.
yeah.
So that's coming up in 2-3 weeks. So
Oh man, I'm like so frustrated because we're doing testing too, and I'm just like, ugh, I hate that it's online, and it's just like I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want my kids to do it, but
yes.
we have to follow the rules, I guess.
No, yeah, it's annoying. If you
Yeah.
haven't experienced testing online, it is quite frustrating because one, like a lot of students still can't type, and so it's
Mm-hmm.
like me being the ELA teacher, I'm having that difficulty of like my students are having such a hard time being able to like, and so it's like that's great, and so we're having like their brainstorming for their writing like on online, so it's difficult, and so it's okay. They're surviving.
Yeah, we're gonna get through it, but I wish we didn't have these obstacles.
Yes.
But and like slight fun fact, I'm still using the microphone. I don't know how great it's gonna sound, but I like built this tower so it would like be a little taller. So I'm like, I have so many books on here. It probably looks very awkward in the video.
No.
So shameless plug. If you are listening, you can also watch us on YouTube because we recorded this.
You make me want to get
Um,
my phone now.
I know. I don't much it was. I'll have to like ask my brother, and if it wasn't that much, we should definitely invest in getting you one if it's worth. I mean, I don't know. Like I haven't listened to the quality yet, so I don't know how great it sounds, but I feel really cool. So I definitely want you to have one.
Feel all professional. Um, Speaking of something that's really cool, I'm digging your shirt. So if you are watching this right now, Alejandra is wearing a Shroot bed and breakfast shirt, which is kind of a little like pre thing to what our topic is today that I'm
Yeah.
actually really excited for. So our topic is today, if you don't know what Shroot Family Farms is, um, it's from The Office, and Dwight has a deep farm, and he decides to build a bed and breakfast out of it. And there's an entire episode that, sorry, I'm gonna get off topic, but that
No, go ahead.
Jim
It's
and
slightly
Pam,
on topic
yeah,
because this is our episode
yeah,
theme.
so that Jim and Pam go to this bed and breakfast, and it's quite the experience. I wish this was still around. But yes, so speaking of The Office, our topic for today is pop culture and books, children's books that feature like pop culture items. And it's something really exciting because I think what got us both excited is a book that came out that I'll be mentioning. But then it got us talking about how many other
Mm-hmm.
like sports people, like sports
Yeah.
athletes, or other like movie stars or books have been made from popular TV shows or movies
Mm-hmm.
or books or anything, or like, and more books like you have so many Star Wars books just based off just like a couple movies. And
Yeah.
so we just love it. And so that is our topic for today. Yeah.
It's really exciting. And I think it's a little different just because I think most of the time we definitely take this podcast pretty seriously in the topics that we're picking because we want to make an impact. But I feel like this is still really important because like pop culture definitely has a lot to do with a lot of the other topics that we talk about. But I don't know. I just thought this would be like a really fun topic to do. And I think normally, as you were kind of saying it, I think normally it's kind of the other way around where we have these really great books and they end up getting turned into like movies or TV shows. And this almost, if I'm not wrong, I think it's like this is the other way around where it's like a TV show then becomes a book.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. Should I start with mine first? I feel like yours
Yeah.
is really exciting and
Go
I'm just
for
like
it.
maybe saving the best for last.
No, go for it. It's very exciting as well.
Yeah, so I was when we decided to do this topic, I was a little like unsure which one I wanted to do, and I wanted to give a quick shout out. And I think that they're called pop classics. I first found them on Scholastics, and they were doing movies like Home Alone and Karate Kid, and they were making those into like kids books, and they were super cute. My students really liked them, and I was gonna pick one of those, but then I remembered I had this other book, so I decided to go with that one, which is called The Duchess and Guy, A Rescue to Royalty Puppy Love Story. And I'll hold up the cover if you're watching the video. But funny enough, I apparently took off the sleeve of the book, and now I have the sleeve, and my book is in the classroom. But I have read this book, and I really like it. So I'll do like a quick little summary, and it's when Guy met Meghan Markle, he was just a sheltered dog dreaming of a forever home. Guy believed their puppy love story was straight out of a fairy tale. But when Harry, the Prince of England, fell in love with Meghan too, Guy realized he could dream even bigger, the royal palace. So in case you didn't get it from the summary, this children's book is based off of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, from England, and it's talking about how Meghan Markle adopted this beagle, and his name is Guy, and it's a really cute story, just about how she was like trying to find the right pet for her. And she went to an animal shelter, and she, I believe, had a previous dog who was a little bit older. And I don't know if pet owners know, like sometimes your dogs don't always get along. So you kind of have to play matchmaking when you're picking out like a second dog to make sure they're able to get along. So she found Guy, and he got along with her other dog. And then, of course, as we all know, Meghan ended up getting married, and they moved. But her other dog was a little too old, and he was recommended not to travel. So she kept him at home here in the States. And then she took Guy over to England. And the story is really cute because it talks about how Guy has a hard time kind of fitting in and he doesn't feel like he's meant to be like a royal pup. And it's really cute because in the pictures you can kind of see like the Queen of England and her corgis. And the drawings are super cute. And something that I like kind of liked about the story was that it didn't like, obviously, if we were all into the whole pop culture thing, we kind of knew that it was a big deal that this was going to be an interracial relationship. And it was the first one, I think, in the royal family. So, in a way, I really liked that it didn't point it out in the book, just because I don't know. I'm assuming that kids would just see it as normal. I think in the pictures, you can kind of see that, they are of different races.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that they almost portrayed it as like, this is something that's normal. It's fine. So I thought that was kind of nice. But it was a really cute book. And I know I've kind of always advocated that like we definitely want to feature like kind of humans, not pets. But I liked the idea that this dog feels like he doesn't fit in. And I think that a lot of students could also kind of see themselves in maybe not fitting in or feeling like you're kind of out of your element and struggling to find like your place in wherever you are kind of been placed. Like this dog was taken from his home and moved to a whole other country, and now he doesn't feel like he belongs. So I thought that was really important. And it also made me think of, I mean, I don't know how accurate it is, but obviously in a lot of like news reportings, a lot of people were saying that Megan felt like she didn't fit in herself. So I think that is something really interesting. But it's a very cute book. I like the back because it features like pictures of the actual humans and not just cartoons. But yeah, this is my pop culture book.
Well, I just gotta say, love this already. If you haven't already gotten from past podcasts, I'm a huge dog lover. So the fact that you picked a book where it's like a dog character makes me really happy. And I really enjoy that you talked about how it like the characters talk about how they feel like they don't fit in, like the dog
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel about fitting in. And then like Megan kind of doesn't as well. Cause I think like seeing now and you kind of read, not that we read trashy tabloids, but um
Sometimes we do.
we do. I mean, you read all the stories about like Megan not feeling welcomed, or the press was harsh on Megan, and like
Mm-hmm.
they're obviously living in the United States now and have like, I don't know what it's called, but like you kind of like resign from like being in
Oh
line
no,
for
sorry, hold
crown.
on. We might have to edit this out, but I can't hear you anymore. I don't know if it's me or
I can hear you.
okay, I can hear you now. Sorry, we had a little technical difficulty.
Okay, what was I saying before?
Sorry about how she wasn't fitting in the tabloids and they moved here.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it's just very interesting how was like there's this whole issue with like the tabloid and her not feeling welcomed by it, and then how the tabloids have kind of just like attacked like their whole
Yeah.
relationship, and now she's like, what is it called? I can never think of the word, but like when you rescind or like resign, I think I want to say it's
Yeah, they
resign.
stepped away. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
they gave up their titles.
so you like kind of like resign from being in line for the
Hmm.
throne. So they basically were like, we're done with that, just because of how like everything has just happened. And granted, we
Yeah.
don't know what has happened internally
Yeah.
with their family, but from there's like a good amount of speculation. So to
Hmm.
incorporate that in the book is kind of already like, well, they were like they grabbed that like pop
Yeah.
culture sense of it. It's like going back to like the Princess Diana situation,
Yeah.
how the media was like obsessed with her. And so I love that the book was able to kind of like mention
Hmm.
like she doesn't feel welcome, the dog doesn't feel like part of
Yeah.
the family yet. So I really quite enjoy that about that book.
Yeah, I really liked it. I liked that part too. And of course, like we have to take everything with a grain of salt because we are not living their lives. But I mean, I guess it's like best to assume that.
Yeah.
But moving on to our questions, the who benefits from the story. Of course, animal lovers. I was super excited to see that there was a dog, and I love the fact that it talks about getting a dog from a shelter and not buying a dog. And I think someone obviously as like famous and popular as Meghan Markle, to kind of promote that she is adopting and not shopping is a huge deal. Definitely adopt dogs. There are so many dogs who need homes. And I mean, look how great Guy turned out. So wouldn't you want your own little Prince Guy in your house? And then I also, like we were mentioning, I think it does a really good job of the idea of like not belonging. So I think this book could definitely touch people who maybe feel like they don't belong or they don't fit in. And that, you maybe end up like kind of finding your place, and it might take a little longer than you thought. The who is missing from the story, um, again, like it's kind of hard because I obviously always try to promote for having human characters, so that was like a little iffy for me. And then again, I was like on the fence, like should they have pointed out that this is an interracial relationship? And I think that for me is like the tricky part where I don't know, like do we point it out? Do we just kind of let it be? So I don't know if it's necessarily missing, but it's just something I definitely thought about. And I forgot the first one, the who writes the story. So the author of this book is called Nancy Firstinger, and it's illustrated by Julia Pereciaratu. That's a hard one. But Nancy has been speaking, a little bio was that she's been speaking up for animals since she learned to talk. She's the author of nearly 100 books, and many of them are on the topic of animals, and she volunteers for humane societies and rescue groups. So I definitely felt like she seemed super qualified to write a book about, dogs, something that she loves. And the author, Julia, I thought a fun fact was that she is a Spanish illustrator and she lives in Madrid, Spain. So I'm assuming they're a little closer. I mean, they're obviously a lot closer to us, to the royal couple than we are. So I'm assuming that they know a little bit more, but as we know, Americans are somehow very obsessed with the royal family.
Yes.
So I thought this was a cute book to bring into the classroom.
Yeah, I love it. And thank you for bringing this book up. I will definitely be adding that one to my collection. So moving forward, just so that
I'm like, drum roll. I'm so excited about this next book.
I honestly, when I was thinking about how we're gonna record this, I was like, should I have the theme song playing? Should I not?
That would have been so nice, but I'm like, copyright. I don't know. Are we allowed?
I know all of a sudden, like the company's contacting us and being like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But you have probably seen this book posted on our Instagram page. And this book is The Office, A Day at Dunder Mifflin Elementary.
Yay!
So I like, I have never like met or not met. I like talk about the show like it's a real person. I have never watched a show that just gets me in some of the weirdest ways. Like the way that they all look at the camera sometimes, like that is like when I find something funny or like something is weird to me, I will turn to the next person and be like, and give facial reactions because that's just who I am. But I mean, it's so cute. It's like the cheesy love story in there, but then like you have characters like Michael who probably pushes the boundaries just a little too far sometimes, but it's just really funny. And so when this book, like it was pre-ordered, right? I'm pretty sure like last year it was like pre-order the book. And I saw it and I was like, done, click, because like I said, there's some just pop culture items you want to have. And this is one of my favorite shows in the entire world. Yes, this is a book I wanted. So before I get ahead of like how much I love the book and how much I love the show, this book is just great. If you have watched The Office, I know there's quite a few people who have not. I definitely recommend watching it. It's very like weird humor. So you have to like really watch it. I have some fun episodes. If you need recommendations, I know exactly which ones to go, which seasons to go to. But yes, so this book follows, it's the same characters. So you're getting Dwight, Michael, Jim, Pam, Kelly, all of them, but they're like toddler size. And so it's about them going to elementary school in a day, like a day in their life. And it's super cute because as you read the book, you see characters that like, so you see like the world's best boss thing that he had.
It's so cute.
Right?
Just like had to like, they are so cute in little miniature kid form.
Yes, and then Sprinkles, Angela's cat that like Dwight accidentally put in the fridge, I'm pretty sure, or the refrigerator. Like all of the stuff, pretzel, because Stanley loves pretzel. So it's just like, this book is very like on brand for the show. And it gets even better with like even like the principal is David Wallace. So like they're all their bosses. And then you have Jan Levinson, so as their teacher. So it's kind of really cool. But everything, like just in this opening page here, you get a sense of character. So like you see Daryl like playing on the keyboard, and then Michael having his best line leader because he's the line leader of the class. And so this book is just great. Dwight doing this whole like with the beets because he's a beet farmer, and my favorite page on this entire thing is this page here because it captures so much of who these people are. So you see Kevin, like there's a toddler like Kevin holding well, he's not holding it, it dropped his can of or his pot of chilies on the floor. And then what also you notice here is that Ryan is holding a dog that says woof, and it's spelled WUPHF. So like remember he started that company, that Woof company.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very just like on brand for the show. And so as I was reading it, the characters are spot on. When they react to things, like we know that Dwight was like the teacher's pet to Michael. And so like same thing in here, like Dwight wants to make sure like he's impressing Michael, and everything that Michael says, like he's like, yeah, I'm for it too. And so it's really cute. And we know something else about the office, it being like this whole, like they used to plan parties and there was a party planning committee. So they're planning a party, and it's just, it ends up being like this really cute story about how they're planning a party, and Michael wants to make like the best line, like he's the line leader, and they use like a buddy system. And so it's just really cute, and it's really well done. And for being like a book that came from a TV show, they did really well with it. And I love that this is a kid's book because my students, even though this is probably above my students' reading level, my students watch The Office, which is like very shocking because I was like, they're in 6th grade, and I asked one of them like, what is your favorite show? And she mentioned, she's like, I love watching The Office. And I'm like, wow, like this show is still like something that's being watched, which made me so happy. I'm gonna cry. But yeah, because then her and I were able to kind of like bond, build a relationship with that. Like, have you seen this episode? Because I've seen it so many times. And it's a feel good. Like, it's one of my feel good besides Grey's Anatomy. But yes, so this was my pop culture book. Yeah.
I love it. And as you were kind of saying it, how I don't know, like I love the idea that, because this is kind of like an adult TV show, and I've talked to friends where we've kind of talked like if this show were to have come out like right now, I don't know if it would have been as successful, because definitely some of the humor is very like dry humor, and I don't think it was ever meant to be malicious. But I find it so funny, and it definitely took me a few episodes to get into it. But I like love it. I think it's so funny, and I love the fact that this is kind of like an adult TV show that was turned into a kid's book, and I read the book, and I was just really impressed with how many references they were able to put into the book, but still make it like a kid appropriate, kid friendly book. And it's so funny. I love it. I love all the little like things that are hidden kind of throughout the book. And I'm sure that like parents who have read this, I mean, who watched The Office themselves, are going to love to read this book to their kids. Um, and even if students don't necessarily have like seen the show, I think that they would still find the book really, I don't know, really entertaining and really cute, because it has a story that they can relate to of like being a line leader. And I know when we were in person, that was like a very big deal. I was like, I need my class to have like such a great line, because we're walking all across campus, and it's hard. Like people who aren't teachers trying to walk 25 third graders across like a school can be very challenging. So it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's definitely a book that's like relatable, and it being like, oh, kids, like the whole line leader situation. But it's just like you said, it's a great book. And I always think about like if the show ever came back, like would it last? I would think
It's
no.
hard because
No, it's hard. I think it's this show like pushed boundaries
for
in ways
sure.
that were kind of sometimes could be a little offensive. Not like, and so, but I think everybody knew like that was the purpose of the show. And so I was thinking of like, would it survive if it came back? But if it didn't come back, like then it's just a show that's what it was, and it's going to be a classic that like 20 years later people are still going to be talking about. But I'm happy that a book came out of it, and like kids, it's relatable to younger kids, like being the greatest line leader, planning parties, like. So I really like that.
I really hope the author, if you're listening to us, please make this into a series because I would love to purchase more of the Office books. And I mean, there's a bunch of episodes that we could turn into kids books. So this is my push. He probably does not care, but I'm like, I really want this like to be like a kids book series. It would be very cute.
Yes. Speaking of the author, let's go to our questions. Who writes the story? So Rob Perlman, if you are out there listening, as Alejandra has mentioned, please write more of these. I could think of just how many wonderful like series of books this can have, or like
Mhm.
several books this can have about like different adventures, like all. I mean, just it'd be wonderful. So yes, Rob Perlman wrote this book, and he's actually quite a well-known like children's book author. Wow, I cannot speak today. It's been a long day in teaching. So he is a well-known author, and he actually has written a book, a children's book. Like this could be another pop culture thing we could have added of Bob Ross. It is called Bob
Oh,
Ross and Peapod the Squirrel. And so he's written that, and he's also written another popular one that I've seen before, and it's Pink is for Boys. So
oh,
it's like
that is a good one.
yeah, that pushes like the gender norms and
Mhm.
all that. And so I was like, oh my god, like I saw that and I was like, he wrote that. And so he has quite a few popular books, and he and what I find super funny at the back of this, it says he lives in New Jersey and would like to visit a beef farm one day. So very like I said, on brand for this
Yeah.
whole show. And then who illustrates it is Melanie Demmer, and she's an illustrator and designer for a company in Southeast Michigan, and she's actually illustrated several like books.
Mhm.
It says like she's illustrated like a book called A Place for Pluto, My Furry Foster Family, like all of these like other books that I have mentioned. And then what hers, because everybody has like a little office thing at the end of it,
Yeah.
her favorite episode of The Office is season 2, episode 12, in which Michael burns his foot on his portable grill.
A
And I
classic.
read that and I was like, oh my God, like such a good episode because he
Yeah.
like Dwight has a concussion and he's more worried about his foot being burnt. But
He
it's
did an amazing job with the illustration. Like I can't get over how cute the little characters look. Like somebody like I don't know who's listening to us, but can we get little plush characters of the
yes. So if Melanie Demmer, if you can make these into plush characters, I'd be buying one. Especially the Dwight with the or not Dwight with Kevin with the chili.
Oh
Still
my
couldn't think
gosh,
of a favorite thing
great.
ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is great. So I'm happy that this book actually came out, and I'm happy that we were able to do this episode. Oh wait, I'm forgetting more questions. See, look at me getting super excited. Who's missing from the story? I don't really think this is a story that like is missing anything because
Yeah.
like it's a pop culture book, so it has all of the characters like, and it has what I really love is that the characters are very on brand with
Mhm.
the characters in the TV show, like Toby is wearing a Costa Rica shirt, and so it made me really happy that they got that. So I don't think anything's missing from this story. Who benefits? I think everyone benefits just because of how like the innocence nature of this book.
Mhm.
It's not like the show. The show had some very interesting jokes or humor, and so that might like push some people's buttons. But the book is very innocent, and I think that if you are a parent that watches The Office in front of their children, like I probably am going to be, I like this would be a super cute book for them to be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like those are the characters. So I don't think anybody's missing
And
from
I
it.
still think, even though the book is definitely geared towards kids, I think adults would like it. I remember when I got the book, I was so excited and I messaged my two friends, and one of them is also like a huge Office fan. So she made me read the book to her. And she really liked it too. So I definitely think even adults can like it, even though it is appropriate for children.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like I'm happy that this book came out, and I'm happy that we were able to do this episode because I think when we were planning it, we're like I mentioned that we should do a pop culture because,
Mhm.
like you mentioned earlier in the episode, is that a lot of our books are amazing and feature just different topics. And I said, why not do like a really fun episode where we kind of talk about the books that come out of pop culture, like if you know who oh my god, so there's so many. I'm trying to think of who it is right now. I have another book. I can't think of who wrote it, but It's called The Book with No Pictures.
Oh, yes, that is a great book.
Who plays Ryan in The Office?
BJ
Novak.
no.
Yeah, so
Wait,
BJ Novak
I
wrote.
did not know that was what? Like this is a light bulb moment that is happening. It did not click for me until you said that. I was like, wait, why does this name sound so familiar? I did not realize that that was the same person.
Yeah, so BJ Novak is like this comedic genius because he also wrote a lot of the show. But more fun fact, pop culture, and so that was one of my most favorite children's book ever. And when I first did my observations in my undergrad, the first teacher I ever observed for, she got me that book because it is the absolute cutest book. It's got no pictures, but you can. She used to teach. She still does. She teaches first grade, but she was able to be super like silly and dorky when she was reading it and like make all these like really funny voices. And I just love that even though it didn't have pictures, the kids were laughing and just had smiles on their faces. So that has always been like one of my favorite.
Yeah, no, I'm still in shock. Sorry. I like as you were speaking, I was like, wait, is this really it? So I went and I Googled it. It is 100% him. I am mind blown because I
Yeah.
got that book before I got into the Office game pretty late and I only watched it because I heard it was going to come off of Netflix. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to like watch it. So I had that book way before I ever watched The
Yeah.
Office. So I've gone my whole life watching The Office and not knowing that this was the author of the book. I mean, the book with no pictures. So I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
It's so great. And then like now thinking about like how many didn't Jimmy Fallon write a book as well? Not to get
Yes.
like sidetracked, but like how many people have written books and
Mm-hmm.
like that come out of pop culture or like that come from people who are famous. And so it's just things like that that I like really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that we were able to do this episode. But since I can sit here and talk about books forever, and I know you can too, we might as well get started with kind of the ending and wrapping up of our episode.
Yes. I'll go ahead and do the ending question. So as we have mentioned a few times, we were very excited about this. So we, not that we're gonna write a book, but we would love to hear like what TV or like movie or pop culture event would you want to be made into a children's book? And I mean, they found a way to make The Office, which is again like an adult TV show, into a children's book that I think was done so beautifully. So what other like TV show, movie, or pop culture event would you want to be made into a kid's book? And I'm like, if I had to pick one, like what would it be? And I am obsessed with Gilmore Girls. I like a little miniature Lorelai and Rory. I'm so curious how that would even like play out, but I love Gilmore Girls. So I think that would be the one I would want. But I would love to hear what our listeners would pick.
Oh, now that I'm thinking about this, Grey's Anatomy. There needs to be a Grey's
That's another
Anatomy
great one too.
children's book, and please, like, make McDreamy's hair all
Oh
McDreamy.
my gosh, that would be so cute.
It'd be such a cute, like thinking like how the office is played out. Like that'd be such a cute book for like, and then you're also teaching like biology, so maybe like
Yes.
in a biology class. I don't know, just some ideas out there. But yes, I would probably pick the Grey's Anatomy. And then I am doing the ending. Sorry, the ending challenge. I'm just, oops. Um, give me a second. We're gonna have to edit this out.
There's a few things we're editing out. So maybe they'll make the cut. I don't know. Like we usually do one takes. People always ask me, and I'm like, we're like a one take show because we have a lot of other stuff going on and we're human. So sometimes things are just going on.
I forgot what my ending challenge was. Oh, post a picture with your pop culture item. Okay. Okay, so I'm doing the ending question, and the ending question
Tag us in your
challenge. Hold on, I said the right thing. So I'm doing the ending challenge, and our ending challenge is to tag us in what is your favorite pop culture item. So if you have the Dunder Mifflin, the Office children's book, or if you're like me and probably collect Harry Potter stuff, you can definitely tag us in that. We'd love to see what is your collection. We all have a thing for something that's pop culture. So yeah.
Mhm. Okay, good job. You did amazing. All right, so we are ending it now. So as always, thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to our podcast. Again, we are on most major podcast platforms, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google. Give us a rating, of course. 5 stars would be amazing. Most of our listeners are listening to us on Apple Podcasts. So you can give us 5 stars and we would really, really appreciate it. and leave us a review. I'm sure it could be done on other podcast platforms as well, but I know that Apple lets you leave a review, and it would just make our day. Like, we let us know how we're doing. Follow our YouTube. As we mentioned earlier in the episode, we record. If you would like to check out our shirt or Jocelyn's great book collection in the background, make sure you watch our video and follow our Instagram at _bookboat. We post pictures of the books we feature in episodes. Sometimes we post books that we don't necessarily get to feature on the episode. And it's pretty much where we interact with our listeners and who message us or leave comments. We really, really appreciate it. And give us a like on Facebook at the Book Boat. And yes, like, we love to interact. Like I always say, this is meant to be a conversation and not just us kind of, I don't know, just our ideas. We definitely want to hear from you guys, which is why we kind of always end with a question and a challenge, because we want this to be a community, a little book boat community.
Yes. Love it. So keep sending DMs, questions our way. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.